Good morning and welcome, beautiful, amazing, fantastic world, and you, amazing individual, unique and beautiful. Today, I would like to speak about stimulating your spiritual muscles. Well, as the title suggests, just like your physical body, we have to stimulate our inner faculties for perception and spiritual impulses to actually have them operating in a most efficient and healthy way. Just imagine, this is the best example I can come up with. The astronauts that are up in the satellites, over time they have to come back to Earth, or their whole body will deteriorate because they don't have any gravity to hold their body to the ground. Hence, their muscles will ebb. This is a common knowledge for those that think a little clearly, obviously. It's the same with spiritual muscles. If you let yourself go in indolence and in sloth, taken as an example, without using your inner faculties actively for, well, reflecting, contemplating, perceiving, being creative, being loving, uplifting, a little imaginative, should we say. When you use these actively, with your ego, with you here, you stimulate it and you build organs for the future, spiritual organs for the future. By you stimulating in meditation, or in writing, or in self-monologue, or in self-dialogue, I like to call it, because if you ask yourself sincere questions, often you have a serious voice that would love to answer that question for you. It is only a matter of how objective you can become and how healing that advice is. Because if it is self-down talk, then it is of course a backward spirit. But if it is an uplifting, supportive, loving, warm thought, it is from the good hierarchy, from the good spirits of love. Today, by you stimulating your inner being, thinking, feeling, willing, with your ego, transforming your lower ego, your egotism, your egocentricity, into a higher, more sublime cosmic ego. The same ego that every human being have, but instead of only being aware of your own ego and your own ego alone, you are aware of everyone's ego. And that is the same ego, just clothed in individuality. That is the wholeness in the individuality. And by that alone, to me at least, indicates that we are meant to be individual. This is blatantly obvious, and for us to actually come to a consensus and to an acceptance of this is even more important. We are so used to, well, jump on the bandwagon of thinking and talking ill of people that are different, even though they want well. They want healing, and they want to see people prosper and succeed. Other people, let's say the backward spirits, not people, but these beings often affect other humans. These beings want you to stay stuck. These people want you to be the same as everyone else. They don't want you to see you differently. But by you individually cultivating through meditation, sitting here with yourself, getting to know yourself and your own personality, your own track record, because that track record constantly changes based on how much work you put actively within yourself. The more consciously you are here working upon your inner being, the more you are able to transform. Your personality becomes more refined, you become more centered within your body, and you are more easily able to use your inner spiritual faculties for the good of all. This of course requires us to take responsibility of this whole earth. The karma of this world, we all belong to it. And we all are trying to heal and build the world temple. Others are trying to rip it down. That is just how it is. To have these moral impulses for love is also important when you build these spiritual organs. Because faith, love, hope must be a guiding compass. Because if we only follow spirituality for egotistical and dark purposes, taken as an example, if we don't have love in the forefront of consciousness, we will often fall into temptation of misusing these things. And then then they might be taken away from you. Or even worse, you are given these powers by beings you do not wish to have these powers from. So, by just becoming aware that there are spirits that are backwards or stagnant, that didn't evolve fully in their time and are now within the earth evolution, and we human beings are affected by these because they are left behind here in a sense. You see where I'm coming from? It is not only pure good and perfection up in the spiritual realm. There are spirits that is warlike, that is keeping people back, that tries to behave in animalistic ways and react and just being in general dislikable. We just have to be aware that these beings will over time either evolve and become part of the hierarchy again, or they will fall away with the rest of the dross and have to come back when a new round is beginning. That is what the 8th sphere or hell is like. So when we have spiritualized this earth, and this earth merges with the sun again, the corpse of the physical earth will separate from the spiritual, and it will be a little own satellite in a sense, an own little moon, where every single stagnant and evil is. It is not an eternal thing. It is, if you follow the ancient Hindu teachings, you have the yugas, or the cosmic cycles. And when the round is finished, everything gets absorbed into the divine and we go to sleep. When we wake up again, a new round begins. And that is when, well, that dross will be taken into evolution again. But they will not be where they are meant to be. They will be a step lower, just as these backward spirits are today that are affecting us. It will be different, of course, because we can't see that far in the future. But we can describe it approximately in pictures, and so that we know where we're going. And by you building the spiritual organs for the future, which is the whole purpose of us being here, is truly mastering our own body, inner being and soul spirit, so that we can in a most operative way, most effective way, express our innermost soul. More or less like a spider's web, you spin out your soul and aura and being out to the world as best as you can, without doing too much damage. Because damage only comes when you are speaking out in pain, when you're speaking out in dislike and sometimes it is at its place, because, well, righteous fury is a thing. But to temper it and to concentrate it so that it is fuel to spiritual growth and love, and not to destruction and destroying and want to break everything down. That is what we are trying to accomplish and master here. Finding love and a place for everything in a sense. Without becoming bitter, without blaming everything and everyone. taking responsibility for you here and now. Because if you use your time and energy here and now to rant and to rip on others and everything else, you are wasting your time. You are using your time you could have used to cultivate your inner being to rant and to rip. You see? That is why I try to be creative and uplifting. And if I am pointing out a certain flaw we might have as human beings, it is only to make people aware of it so that they can do action and so that I can do action based on that. Because if you only rip and rant without doing action for yourself to try to make amends for it and only blaming everything else and I have everything under control and I don't need to do anything, it's indolence, sloth. It is, I think I have everything under control. That's pride, you know. As we know, the 7 vices are demons. Pride, sloth, lust, gluttony, greed, wrath, and envy. They are all demons. They are the backward spirits of us mankind, and they are affecting us constantly. Are you aware of them? They are very prominent and they are very distinct. Just think about it for a few moments and let it sink in. They are some of our temptations. If you feel some of the, you are actually them, becoming them in a small moment of time to act on it, you see? They are beings that come into your... So, by you strengthening your resolve, your morals, your love, your care, your beauty for this world, they can't sit in that. It's too light for them. It is too loving for them. And they can't affect you in your body. They are very, very disease-ridden too. So if you are constantly affected by these beings, you will get ill over time. But this marvelous body is so beautiful because it can stand decades of poison. So just be aware of yourself. Try to know thyself. And be aware of your dark sides too. Always acknowledge that we all human beings have a very, very dark aspect to us. And it might seep into sometimes in your personal life. How much control do you have? How much do you aspire to a mastery? How much do you aspire to control and to help mankind do the same? It is just about how much you are willing to go for that cause. It is a sacrificial act, you see. And a sacrificial act of your time, energy, and intention, and attention, and focus, consciousness. So the more you stand steady in wanting to do good, wanting to make people aware, trying to bring love to them, is, well, some of the most sublime work you can do. And it is the most important work you can do today. It is sorely needed. So, I think this was everything. Yeah. Thank you all. May you build your spiritual organs for the future. And may you be guided by the divine in Christ, Holy Spirit and Father, and the hierarchy. And I thank you for you being you, and you doing the work you do. And we all have our individual path and are at different stages in life. We just have to accept that and help each other as best as we can. Because if you want to see another fail, just because you yourself fail sometimes, that is not the way to go. There are whole countries that are basing their living on that. I'm not standing for such things. I stand for understanding, love and hope. Faith, love, hope. So ranting and wanting to hold back and wanting to sabotage others just because they are successful, taken as an example, or that they are creative and different in their lives. It is not okay. It is a deeply immoral action, and it is a lack of control of will, a weak will. That is just the truth of it. So by you wanting to uplift others, you seeing them as an individual that strive for overcoming and healing, and for striving for love from the divine, striving to overcome karma, striving to truly bring a difference to this world. If you are wanting that for another, you are on the right path. You truly are a caring, loving, nurturing human being. If you want to see people fail, if you have some revenge feeling or a feeling of bitterness towards others, that is a deeply immoral action. And it is a weak will. It is just how it is. So by you strengthening your will, your heart, your love, you no longer feel that drive to do so. You want to see them uplifted. You want to see mankind uplifted. So you be different. Be loving. Be warm. Be you. Let your soul talk. Come from the soul and let your emotions speak to you. From your emotion, truth always shows up. But you have to be aware, conscious and steady in your endeavor. Sincerity and honesty. And honor and reverence. I think this was all, yeah. I love you all. Thank you so much for listening to me. And thank you for you being you. Goodbye.